Hello, dear ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to a new episode of our podcast. We are discussing about research on fouling and biofouling with a dear guest and a friend of us. It's about Dr. Simone Durr. She's coming from England. She will tell us about her research in the domain of fouling. She discovered some very interesting things about biofouling and some solutions to reduce the fouling on vessels. And she has a very interesting and long experience in doing research for this topic. So I'm introducing now to you Dr. Simone Durr from a university from England. Dear Simone, hello.
Hi there, Cristina. It's lovely to be here, and it's lovely to have an audience in this podcast. So my name is Dr. Simone Durr, as Cristina already said. I'm a senior lecturer in marine biology, and I'm from the University of Liverpool, Durr University. Sorry. And so I work on biofouling and antifouling since about '96. So ages, basically, I have to say. Many of my students are actually younger than that, yeah, which is a bit worrying over time now. But I have to say, looking back to all these years, it was always exciting. It was always an adventure, and that's how research should be. Yeah, you should always be driven by finding out new things. Yeah, innovation is the key, I would say. Now, I work at Liverpool Durr University only though since 2008, so not since the beginning of that. So in between, I was a postdoc. I did my PhD, and I actually started out originally in Kiel at the Baltic. And I was first at the university and then later at the Marine Institute, what is nowadays called the GeoMar. And so that's where I learned the background to my profession, I would say.
But why were you interested in marine biology? What drove your interest for this domain?
Oh, now that's really unusual, I would say. Now, my mother always wanted me to become a doctor for children. Yeah, something I didn't want. But I liked animals, so I wanted to become a vet. And then I went one day with my father to the Maldives. Yeah, and I learned diving there. I was at that time 13. And I was so amazed by all that. I learned snorkeling beforehand, but this was then absolutely fantastic in that age. That was in the 80s, you know. The Maldives looked at that time amazing. And so I learned there then also that actually you can have a job in that topic. I didn't know that. And so from then on, it was no question anymore. Yeah, I will become a marine biologist.
And how did you reach from Kiel to Liverpool? How was your career path?
I maybe should also say that I actually originally come from near Stuttgart. This is 800 kilometers away from Kiel. So alone that leap was already quite big. So, but how do I come from Kiel to Liverpool? That actually went via Wollongong in Australia. Ooh. Yeah. So I after I got my degree at Kiel, it was about how do I get a PhD. Because my doctor father had to be seconded to Namibia, Windhoek. And so we applied together for the German academic exchange and for proposal basically on sea urchins in Wollongong basically, which is south of Sydney. And we had there a colleague, Professor Andy Davis, which is also already retired, as is my Dr. Father, Martin Wahl. And and we were lucky. We just got this funding for 3.5 years, just for the data collection there. And then I came back and to Kiel, wrote it up. And now then the question was, how do you get a postdoc? Yeah, it's always a question, where do you get the next step, basically? And the postdoc in Germany, at that time, and I have to say nowadays, it's still the same situation for women. It's very difficult in marine, and males are dominant there, let's face it. And but due to the fact that I was in Australia, I seen also different approaches in academia. So there was not just the professorship there, like in Kiel, but there were also early lecturers and stuff in other countries, like in Australia, in the UK. And that brought me then there to actually look more deeper into postdocs in the UK. And yes, so there was one on biofouling, antifouling, just an EU project driven by aquaculture. And so that was my leap over to the UK, which then led me on to become a senior lecturer in a different university, because my postdoc was actually in Newcastle University, and I moved then to Liverpool in 2008.
And what was the topic of your PhD? What is the...
Oh, okay, leap back there.
Yeah.
Okay, so that wasn't directly biofouling, antifouling, though I already worked with panels there, but in 15-meter depth. Yeah, so a different story. So what I looked at there, and this PhD is actually free available on the Kiel University, if you're interested in that. It is about what are the impacts on the diversity of the rocky reefs in that area. So what is the biodiversity driven there of the sessile species, basically? Because what we found there was that there were tall walls underwater, basically. We're looking at more than 15 meters depth of these walls. And they are so rich in species, unbelievable, you know, and attracting then also a high diversity of fish, obviously, and other organisms. And with that are then also lower walls, and these ones are really poor in diversity. While we find there loads and loads of sea urchins, while we don't find those on these tall walls. Yeah, so to sum that up, basically, I manipulated the numbers of sea urchins. I looked at the recruitment on these walls, so there come the panels. I looked at what happened over time there, and also development of the communities, again panels. And I also looked what happens actually if factors change in one of these walls. Could they maybe reverse to a different alternative state? And so basically carry over factors as well. And so outcome is basically that these tall walls are super resilient They do not change, at least not in 3.5 years. If there was a sponge there looking like that, it was still the same 3.5 years later. Yeah, just an example. And so really resilient, and they sustain by reseeding themselves. So the recruitment did not reach anywhere else other than that wall, or most of it. And that was the big outcome of that, as in a short sentence, basically. Yeah, so that was the topic.
Has your past experience in snorkeling and in diving helped you collect samples in Australia? Did you go underwater to collect samples?
Oh, yeah. Really? Yeah. 3.5 years, yeah.
How deep?
15 meters.
Oh, really? And
yeah.
You can resist 15 meters to go down?
Oh, yeah, 15, 1.5, yeah.
Oh, yeah. 15.
Yeah, 15
For
is
me,
nothing.
it's a lot because I can't stay underwater. I physically can't stay underwater.
Okay.
I'm just at the surface, so.
I know. Yeah. So loads of dives, yeah.
Do you still dive now?
Oh, I haven't for a while. Yeah. So for me, diving is part of work. It's not part of fun. So yeah. Though I like photography underwater. Yeah, I love that. That's actually, I think, why I do it. I don't know. the diving, I mean. Yeah. So, but I have to say, nowadays we have so much technology. We do not damage our bodies anymore with that. Yeah. So, which is important, obviously, for scientists, because our brains should be healthy.
Focused, yeah.
Yes,
and
let's say
on
it
something.
this way.
What percentage would you believe that the underwater life and organism is not known? I mean, let me rephrase. How much? Let's think in percentage. Do you think it's still unknown about the underwater life? So scientists have never discovered yet.
I don't know.
But I guess there are still organisms.
Oh, yeah. No. I'm just trying to think of a percentage. I can't forecast that. So I know from friends in British and Arctic Survey. I know from who also do deep sea, obviously. I know also from, if you look at Instagram, there are now these companies who always have these, who just basically do movies in deep areas. But so I think looking at the volume of water that's available, yeah, and that we have obviously not been able to investigate, I would think that we're looking at easy 99%, isn't it? I would think so.
Undiscovered.
That's what I think.
Wow.
That's what I think, yeah.
Because the ocean is so huge.
Exactly.
And some persons might think that what shall we discover more than we know, because we know a lot. But in reality, it's such huge amount of information that we don't know about.
Exactly. Look what happened when they explored recently the areas in the Pacific regarding the deep sea mining. Yeah. And they suddenly came to an area where there's loads of high diversity areas, which we even didn't know beforehand. Yeah. So I think there's still loads of surprises, and we certainly should not go and destroy that. And maybe it first needs to be looked at, and not just think, oh, we need that now, and then it's gone. Yeah. Yeah.
Do you have any personal opinion about the level of degradation in the marine life in Australia compared to other regions of the globe? Like is the rules enforced in Australia more better applied than other parts of the globe in order to protect the ocean life? Well, you cannot.
Australia, okay, so it's a long time ago, but what I understand from my friends, yeah, and how it was at that point, yeah, when I was there, it was certainly they are more aware of that. The public is more aware, and they more have strong feelings, about their coast, and so I think with that they certainly forward, but at the time when I was there were, regarding for industry and so on, the regulations were very lax, so there's this side and there's that side, and I don't know what happens now, or what the situation is currently. But Australians have very strong opinions.
So the topic of your PhD was to better understand the life below 15 or around 15 meters deep.
Basically looking at diversity.
Diversity.
How diversity on vertical surfaces.
And what about the postdoc? What was the topic of your postdoc in England? Yeah.
So as I said there, I already worked with panels. I also worked in my degree with panels. And that was biofouling already.
Can you please explain what panels means? What are you referring to?
Okay. When you work with biofouling, and you want to test theories or stuff like that, you use panels, so flat squares, and for example PVC, and you deploy them, and then you're waiting that some organisms will be settling on there, just as it would happen on a ship hull. Or an aquaculture net. And exactly that brings me now to my postdoc, which was in the EU project collective research in biofouling, antifouling, called CRAB. And so in this project I was in charge of running the field trials and the lab, some of the lab projects basically as well. And this was all driven by aquaculture farms. And so I worked very close with aquaculture farmers, or workers I should say, as these are now all big corporates basically. And so there were 11 farms. They ranged from mid-Norway down to Gran Canaria, and so we all had there these needs that we do non-toxic solutions for the aquaculture in terms of not using all these coatings that they normally use, that they just take from shipping, which contains then biocides like copper, which we obviously don't want to have in our food. And so this project aimed basically to get rid of that and look at other solutions that are non-toxic. And so one of the outcomes was basically that it's very good to do a biofouling baseline at your site to actually find out when you've got actually spatfolds of larvae, because these sessile species, be this biofouling or be this sessile organisms on rocks, they obviously have a stage where they disperse themselves as a species, and that happens as larvae or in algae with spores, etc. And so we got basically there then the chance basically to identify when these larvae actually settle at a certain place. Or you cannot predict it directly, or you can kind of, in terms of if you're in a area where you've got seasons, in the water, then you can estimate maybe within 3 months when this happens, but otherwise not. And that will help the aquaculture farmer by cleaning the nets, for example, after the spatfall happened. For that you normally need to lift the netting, or you have management-wise, the management says, oh, okay, so next month we change the nets, or we cleaning them, It doesn't matter if there's currently loads there or not. So basically, we made these farmers more aware of that you actually can save money, yeah, and in the workforce, yeah, by organizing these husbandry cleaning events more based on the biological response. Yeah, so it's a response to the biology, and that actually they were all very, very happy with this outcome for them. We couldn't really find good coatings for them which didn't have biocides for it because they're just not existing. Silicons and fluoropolymers, they were not suitable for that because netting is static. Yeah. Okay, it moves a little bit in the flow, but it's not enough that biofouling just falls off foul release. So we're looking at this here, and I'm hoping actually in the future that we will have better materials, simply that, and not just nylon, which is not helpful regarding biofouling. And therefore, I want to stress that as well. Aquaculture is a stepping stone for invasive species. And as we all know, this is one of the big issues in the environment nowadays. So we need to be aware of that. Any static structure in the ocean will be a stepping stone into the natural environment for invasive species. So we're also looking in new industries as well. If you're looking at wind farms, if we're looking at solar farms in the ocean, tidal wave, yeah, if you must do something there about fouling, yeah, otherwise you have massive stepping stone fields, yeah, going into the natural environment. Yeah, and that is something that hasn't been really observed yet, that how important it is. There are no regulations yet for that. And the IMO is asked by us scientists that they need to take up their definition for ship, that it needs to expand also for the renewables, which in the end are fixed and floating platforms.
Were the farms you have investigated were farms for mussels or
for what?
What kind of farms have you analyzed?
The aquaculture, you mean?
What crops?
Oh, okay. There? So salmon is a big thing in north of the EU. Then we also had sea bream and sea bass. That's more the south. Okay. Yeah. And oysters. Okay. Mussels. Okay. Yeah. And scallops.
Okay, but what about algae? Are there?
This was 2004 to 2007. Okay. Macroalgae were no question at that point. Yeah. But now it's obviously a big thing, which is great.
I was wondering, considering the issue with the world famine in some regions of the globe, I was just wondering whether this algae can become a solution for the hunger. Any kind of algae can be eaten, or are some toxic algae for human?
You mean of the kelp species, basically, because that's what's grown, you know.
Like human can eat any algae?
Yeah, I think these ones that are really well growing, which obviously they will be living in nutrient-rich areas when you want to grow them. And so you're looking at the cold water algae, the kelps, and so they can be eaten without a problem. Yeah.
But technically speaking, humans can eat any kind of algae? Of course.
I can't say that. No. Come on.
So I was just wondering whether some algae, you know, like grass growing on a land, it might be toxic, you know, or poisonous for.
Are you getting towards phytoplankton here?
Yeah.
Yeah, obviously we have got phytoplankton.
Okay.
Yes, which is great, which is also good for fuel. Yeah. They're more efficient or more better for harvesting basically than any freshwater or terrestrial options for the oils. But so the phytoplanktons, they are, if you think of dinoflagellates, etc., they release toxins, but if they are in a bloom, and depending on the species, it can be a huge concentration of the toxins, and they can lead to big health issues for humans, but also for the ocean. Yeah, and but blooms can be natural, but it can be also due to human impact.
I understand. But what about the foul, the species, the foul species, like
the biofouling?
Yes, the biofouling can be used in the food industry, or is the same?
I think the problem is there that the human person doesn't want to eat that.
Yes, it's the perception, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
But what if they can be consumed with no harm, with no side effects?
Obviously, it depends on species. You know, I mean, you have sponges which are not healthy. You have other things, you know. But there are people who eat in the world who eat ascidians, for example. Even in the EU, it's common in some areas where you eat barnacles. And it's quite similar to eat clams, razor clams, cockles, etc. And so there's no issue, you know.
Yeah.
If you think of mussels, it's big in aquaculture. On the other hand, it's big in biofouling. One of the top 5 of problem species. Yeah.
So my point was, we do research in identifying solution for antifouling, but maybe a problem can be transformed in a benefit when you think the biofouling as a resource for food. So we want this fouling disappear, but if we change our perception, I would believe there would be benefits and could theoretically at least solve this famine and hunger, global problem, you know.
Difficult. I mean, if you think about the biofouling on a ship hull, would you want to eat that? When it's scraped off, you scrape off also the coating.
Yes,
so you have a mixture of polymers and biocides and exactly the stuff that we don't want, isn't
Unfortunately, it? Yeah. But maybe if there would be a switch of perception, like to find some positive thing in something that we believe is negative, like the fouling, maybe the environmental issues would at least partly disappear, and everybody would be happy, both the environmental friends and both the industry would come to would mitigate this.
Maybe you need new materials for the ships.
New materials.
Yeah, exactly, non-toxic ones. Yeah. And then if you maybe have regularly a robot running up and down to collect that up, who knows? Yeah, I don't know, but I think we are far away from that.
Going further, you were telling us that you did a postdoc. If you can tell us what was the topic of the postdoc, if your postdoc has continued what you studied for your PhD, or it was a new topic in marine biology?
No, so as I said, we worked on biofouling, antifouling in aquaculture.
Okay, in postdoc. And further, after you finished the postdoc, has your research interest remained the same in biofouling and
biofouling and antifouling? Yes. Yeah. When I went to Liverpool, though, there were no aquaculture there, though I still had my contacts there. So I went into the Liverpool South Docks and started there basically also biofouling monitoring, because I first needed to find out what species there are and how many invasive species there are, and how to best use them in theory testing and also in coating testing, etc. And so this biofouling monitoring is going on there now since 2008, and I have seen over time loads and loads of changes in the species that are dominant. And since then I have switched more to shipping, because in Liverpool this is just a big thing, and if you collaborate with the engineers, then this is automatically happening. Though I never forgotten aquaculture. I always think about aquaculture. And so now it's more towards finding non-toxic solutions for shipping, and which obviously doesn't have that option so much other than coatings. So they need to start thinking more about switching actually the material of the ship itself. But I think we're looking decades until something like that maybe happens. And so now with shipping, as with aquaculture, is a big topic invasive species, and that you actually recognize them and what impact they can have on the natural environment, basically changing whole ecosystems locally. Diversity loss. And with shipping though, on the other hand, we need to use the antifouling, because we don't want these invasive species. But on the other hand, these coatings are no good, and supplying basically loads of microplastics due to them being polymers, and biocides, as it's not otherwise possible. So that's why we're looking more towards these non-toxic solutions, what might be there. And actually on the market, you have already some things. I don't want to say names or anything of coatings, exactly.
We don't advertise, it's just sharing knowledge.
Exactly. So there are, I wouldn't call them anymore coatings, I would call them an extra layer of material that just stays there, which just needs to be, which has certain characters that fouling doesn't so much settles on it, and it can easily get off, so foul release, and some of these exist already for the last 20 years, and they have also then often these automated cleaning systems associated with it. That's as far as we currently. I think the cleaning will get much more important in the next 5 years. There are fantastic developments with that as well. And so maybe slowly then we will get away from these coatings.
Anyway, it's a good news, this one, that we can rely on technology and maybe on automation, and to ease this process of cleaning the vessel, not involving so much human personnel, but doing just with robots or machines. I would like to know, during your tests, during your research, either for the doc or postdoc or in your current projects, have you ever found some species that it is not known so far? So you collected those panels or those samples, and you analyze what you find there. And has has occurred in some moment in time to identify some species that is not known? And
okay, not in the EU, not in Europe,
but what about
not in
Australia?
Europe. Oh, in Australia, when you look at if you have panels there, I also had panels there, not just in the walls, but because we also did another global experiment as well about UV light, which is published. Yeah, there it was some species were just not identifiable. You could say, okay, so maybe this is a bryozoan or something, yeah, but you don't know the species. Yeah,
it's interesting.
Yeah.
And you can put your name on one species.
No. I'm not a taxonomist.
Yes,
So, not a taxonomist is very small, orientated. Yeah, so they living for them how to identify them. Yeah. So that's anyway, other specialists. Yeah.
This idea is interesting.
I'm a community ecologist, a benthic community ecologist by trade, switching to biofouling, antifouling, but not taxonomy. No, I can identify, yes, but not like that.
The idea is that we need to acknowledge there are plenty of things to discover and to wonder. Wow, it's such a huge place to discover novelties and new things, under the water, under the ocean. Let me ask you, after you did the postdoc, you entered some research projects. If you'd like to tell us some interesting findings in your research projects that followed your postdoc in England.
That's difficult.
Something with societal impact, like something that was useful for the communities, for fishermen, or for aquaculture farms, or
Oh, you mean results still from the aquaculture or something,
from your
or
research.
from later ones? Because later ones I can't speak about.
No, it's
okay.
Previous ones.
Okay. So I mean, as I said there, with the aquaculture, the good thing was that so many other farms as well took up the biofouling monitoring, and that is a really good achievement there. So it's part of best practice now in aquaculture actually, and I think that's the big thing with that. Yeah. So otherwise, the most recent projects, they are rather the IP issues. So, but obviously the project that we have together, we can talk about that one if you want. Yeah.
But you said something with IP. You mean
intellectual
property? Right. Yes.
Yeah.
So let's discuss now on the project where you are the main coordinator, the principal investigator, right?
Yeah.
And our university, Constanta Maritime University, is a partner.
Yeah.
This project is funded by the International Association of Maritime Universities, IAMU.
And Nippon Foundation.
Yep, and Nippon Foundation. And we are glad we could meet each other, know each other through this wonderful project.
Yeah.
Tell us in large lines, what is this project, NoFoul, about?
Okay, again, it's about non-toxic solutions, basically for shipping, niche areas, because what we're actually doing there is two parts solutions we're looking at. So the one is the solution from Liverpool John Moores University, so the team around me. That's with anti-fouling microtextures, which are bio-inspired and laser machined. So it's not lithography, it's laser machining, and so it's really unique. And we have got actually a library of textures that we already produced. Not in this project beforehand. And for this project, we selected some and we slightly changed them. And we first had a run then basically in Liverpool over the summer, But now the big thing in this project is that we actually testing at all our project partners these textures, including though plasma treatment, which is coming from Constanta. Yeah. So Bogdan has developed that methodology, and so we combine that with the textures, and it will be very exciting in February now to actually find out how our textures, first of all, work in other sites, because there's other biofilm there that we need to cope with, plus also in addition with the plasma treatment, if that actually improves it, or if there's even a synergistic effect there. And so we're really looking forward to what actually happens with that. So it's kind of an European, Asian experimental approach, and which is rather unique as well. Yeah. So I'm really looking forward to that. So maybe we should say which partners we have.
Yes.
So
yes,
other than Liverpool John Moores University and Constanta, we also got ITU, so that's Istanbul Technical University. We also got Ordu University in Turkey. And we've got Ahmed University in Chennai, India. So very exciting, yeah. And I'm so looking forward to these results, yeah, in the end. But so the second part of this project, and I really enjoy that as well, and I'm sure you do that, Cristina, is we are also training together in biofouling and antifouling. So we had a 2-day workshop in July in Liverpool, where we did really hands-on stuff and little lectures and stuff like that. So it was really, I think everybody enjoyed it from what I gather, and it was not boring. And I think we can take that forward for IAMU into further training for mariners, and maybe also the captains and so on that need to know about it, but also in the maritime universities for the cadets, that they maybe learn more about that with this kind of approach. Now what we're currently doing is site-specific training. So this is where I actually discuss with individual partners how their sites look like, if they are suitable, so that we standardize it with everybody, and how to analyze then these samples. Yeah. So that's what's currently happening. So I've already visited India, I visited ITU, and now I'm at Constanta. Now on Thursday and Friday I will be actually in Ordu, and then on Saturday I can fly back to Manchester. Yes. Yeah, waiting for the teaching on Monday. Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
You mentioned the training for cadets and for mariners is important in order to make awareness on biofouling and on antifouling solutions. But is there any expectation beyond that? So why do you think training about this topic is important, including for seafarers, not only for marine biologists? And why do you think?
So it's so important because it's not just, I would say, about for their interest in environmental, which actually increases in mariners, and in particular in the youngsters, in the cadets, yeah. And because they know everything about climate change, they know about even invasive species when I speak with them, yeah. But it's still the question then what actually happens on their ship, what can they actually do about it? And this is what they need in training. And I think IMO kind of is being aware of that now, because in the latest updated biofouling guidelines by the IMO from July 23, there is actually a section there what needs to be trained by the maritime organizations for the new seafarers and mariners, or updating them as well. And so in terms of our funder, certainly this is also one of their requirement that they need, that IMU is setting up training for biofouling and antifouling to get into invasive species, and also the pollution with the polymers and with the biocides, so that their partners basically, or members, are available for that, to give that training. Yes.
And we can also mention about the biofouling network.
Oh, yes.
I'm actually involved in this, and I'm very, very proud, and it's something really engaging, because you gave me this task in bringing my involvement in what is expected to be a network of specialists, or at least of interested persons in understanding what biofouling and antifouling is.
Yeah. So the biofouling network for IMU is led by Liverpool John Moores University, but together also with Constanta. And so this actually is one part of that fulfillment to get the information out there to the partners or members basically in the IMU. And so there's a chance to basically train them already. And we already did in that group one webinar on some basics, basically like a teaser, what we could supply. And we're hoping we're getting more IMU partners onto the network. And so if you haven't signed up yet, do that now. Even if you are a member university in IMU, it doesn't mean you are in the network automatically. You must drop an email to us, and then we can put you on the network. Otherwise, you have not a chance to get the training done and stuff. So please, please, please sign up in your own time. Yeah.
Let's give some details how you can join the biofouling network. So an email should be sent to what address?
Okay, so that's IAMU, NoFoul at LJMU.ac.uk.
Great. So any interested person coming from IAMU universities that want to find more such interesting things about biofouling and can send an email and can be accepted in this network. And
exactly.
And what does involves? It involves.
It doesn't cost anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. So you only have benefits. You will get emails about new things. You will get more webinars if you want to take part. You can even shape what information we give you. So if you decide you would like to see a webinar on regulations, then we do that. If you, like in the last webinar, there were people who wanted to find out how can I actually do my own experiments. So that would also be a workshop, for example. So it's really up to you. You can decide what areas are interested for you, or you think they are important, that you have that information so you can train your own students. Then just send us an email, but you first need to be signing up for the network.
And I think the main outcome for joining this network is the fact that you join a network of other fellows wanting to share the same interest in
Yes.
this topic, so you are not alone. As a
Exactly.
researcher or
Collaborations
something,
are possible. Networking.
Yep.
Yes, and who knows? Maybe in the next AGA, maybe we can set up a short in-person workshop or a networking session where you can be all together and have a chat, and so everything is possible.
Good. Tell us, please, about your expectations for what do you hope to happen after the NoFoul project ends? What are your expectations, and how can you further take and develop the outcomes for NoFoul project research? Yeah.
Okay, obviously we want to try to publish this, the research, and we definitely need to take this network much further. So obviously, first of all, at IAMU, because that's their requirement and they need it, and so we want to be much better getting this done. But in the future, then we want to get also with the network outside of IAMU, and we all know more international biofouling experts. They all waiting to get into the network, but currently we have to limit to IAMU.
Universities.
But that's the future for it.
But what about the results of the research, like the textures or the laser? Do you think a patent can be obtained based on the results of the research, or something we can work further and do?
No, we need to basically first see what actually the outcomes are from the European Asian tests, basically, to see how these same textures basically work at different places. And then we can see how we take that further. If we maybe for some sites we should be maybe modified further. It's highly likely, that there will be modifications, and but for that we need to look for more funding, probably EU, I assume. Though the Indians, I think they were talking about that they're looking towards options from India, which currently has funding for certain areas as well. And so as soon as something comes up there, then we will maybe going in there. Yeah, obviously with all the partners. Yeah.
Dear Simone, you have told us about how you reached this job, this career, this nice career of being researcher and also an academic person, from your childhood to your studies and the PhD program and the postdoc and the further research that you did. And it's very clear that you are very passionate on this topic. And you have a lot of experience doing research and studying, and I guess also, obviously, also teaching. So what do you think that us, the teachers here, we should do? How should we proceed in order to engage more students in understanding the problems related to environmental engineering and also to biofouling? What exactly would be your advice for us in order to engage more students to go to this this sector in learning and doing research in environmental engineering, and how do you see this teaching skills that needs to include the sustainability and the environmental aspects?
So first of all, obviously, you need to, you as lecturers, you first need to get to the background as well on that topic. So, and if you have that, then you can offer a course, and maybe starting with some field trip, where you can actually show them what you actually mean. And be very enthusiastic and selling the problem, that they need to solve, because they are the future, obviously. Yeah.
Yes.
And it would be also good if you maybe really encourage females.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
As you engineers, you will have a minimum of females, I assume.
Yep.
And so maybe you actually can attract more females by actually bringing in that subject. Yeah. Yeah. Show them the life. Show them biofouling. Yeah. And make them exciting about it. Yeah. How beautiful it is. Yeah, because biofouling is not just bad. Yeah,
Exactly.
Yeah,
my point.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A technical question, and I guess we should have started with this. What is the difference between biofouling and antifouling, and fouling in general? If you can explain the difference between these terms, biofouling, antifouling, and fouling.
Okay.
Yes.
So, okay.
But please explain it like for someone that
doesn't know what it is.
Yes.
We should maybe have started with that. Yeah. Okay. So, biofouling is the word that you should use instead of fouling.
Okay.
Okay. So, because we're talking here about biological organisms, while fouling can be any kind of stuff. So biofouling. So what is it? These are actually organisms that living on any surface in the water. Yeah. However, research uses it really just for panel experiments. Yeah, that word. So organisms that live then later on artificial surfaces, and this can be any artificial surface. Now, what we found there is particular more opportunistic species then in artificial surfaces, and they come though from the same region, yeah, unless we suddenly have invasive species from other places, maybe with the vector ship arriving. And these new species that arrive there, they are also opportunistic because they manage actually to put down their foot there, yes, as you can say. And so biofouling species from the locality, but also biofouling species from other places that actually manage to live there, then all of them are opportunistic. That's their character, and that makes them biofouling then in that kind of definition. But industry just calls biofouling is the unwanted growth on surfaces, yeah, and so it's quite limited what this definition is, and so we are more looking at organisms that interact with each other. That's still biofouling communities. Then, so it's much wider than that. It's the colonization. It's not just the species, and so antifouling, on the other hand, this is any kind of approach that you're doing to get rid of biofouling. That is it in a nutshell.
Yeah. Thank you for joining this podcast. And my last question for you, my last request, kind request for you, is to send a message to our students and also to your students that we will see this podcast. What is your message to them in regard to what you do and what you enjoy doing? And that would be the research. Maybe you want to stimulate to invite them to join what you do, or maybe you just want to send them a message regarding their studies.
Yeah, so I think don't study something that you're not absolutely enthusiastic about it. Yeah, it is important that this is the thing for you. Yeah, you can spend more than 7.5 hours per day with it. Only then do this as in a university. Yeah, and make sure you are really stay motivated, enthusiasm, be curious, yeah, and because we need you, you need to do all these innovation that we need in the future. There are so many challenges in the future for which we are already too old, Cristina and I, yeah, by the time that they need it. So you're there, you need to do it, and it must be the thing for you. Only then do it. And I want to particular say to the females, be strong, fight, you're better. Okay, I mean that, yeah.
Thank you very much for your kind message and for sharing with us your journey from the snorkeling with your father up to being such an experienced researcher and project coordinator. And I congratulate you for what you do. And I fully confirm Simone's energy in speaking about what she enjoys and doing what she enjoys, and this is fantastic. So as a very, very quick recap, what we discussed today is about the biofouling and also antifouling research. And a main key away from my point of view would be this one, that it's a lot to be discovered. And we know so little about the ocean's life, the life underwater, and a career in research in this domain would be highly necessary in order to better understand where we live. It's fantastic that we do space science and we want to discover other planets, but it's a lot to also discover here, where in our planet and where we live. And it's also interesting to identify solutions for other problems that the humankind has, and maybe from the biofouling we can obtain some solutions, I don't know, for hunger or for others. So dear listeners, it's just take this idea with you, join the research in environmental topics, and bring your involvement in the society well-being. Having this said, thank you for your participation, dear Simone. Good luck in what you are doing. You are doing very, very important.
Thank you, Cristina, and to you too. Yeah, and thank you for having me here.
And for the persons watching us, keep in touch, and we will meet together at our next podcast.
And please sign up for the IAMU Biofouling Network.
If you can say again the email address.
That's NoFoul IAMU. IAMU NoFoul at LJMU.ac.uk.
Great. Thank you, Simone.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.